Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Okay, I'm Emily Moynes. For those of you that are new here, or Mama Moynes, and I am 58 years old, and I started this channel in order to help anyone that feels alone or feels like they need some inspiration or encouragement or I don't know, just, I feel like, especially today, especially this after the pandemic, that we are really craving connection. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like since the pandemic, things have just changed? Everyone's more isolated, everyone's more, I don't know, to themselves. I feel like even in my own friend group, it's changed a bit. Now, I don't know if that's because we're getting older and people are retiring and people are moving away, people are downsizing and, maybe even, I don't know, moving abroad. But I just feel like since the pandemic, it's just not the same. And we're all craving connection. And so I have a community on Instagram. You guys can follow me there, Mama Moynes at Instagram. That there is where I feel it and I hear it more than anywhere else. Just the need for feeling of belonging. So that's why I brought the channel to YouTube. Same sort of thing, same intent, but here I feel like I can just babble on forever. So yesterday, I had a message from one of you that asked me about when is a good time to start dating again. I've addressed this before in another video, but I am such a believer that until you have fixed you, I think the video is titled "You Will Repeat What You Don't Repair," if you want to look at that video. So I'm not going to get into depths here, but until you repair what is wrong with you, you're going to keep repeating the same pattern over and over again. Do you find that you've been choosing the same partner with the same characteristics, the same personality, the same demeanor, like you have a type, and do you feel like you keep choosing that same type over and over again, but it just is not working for you? That's what I mean by you have to fix you first. Why are you attracting that type? Why are you, as I feel like I was a magnet for the type that was just not good for me. And I know I've done the therapy, I have done the work. And I remember sitting in a therapist's office one day and she said to me, "Tell me about your dad." And I said to her, "I don't really have a relationship with my dad." And that's when she was like, interesting. And then she brings out the pen and paper and I'm like, oh, fuck. So she's like, "Okay, so why don't you have a relationship with your dad?" And I said to her, he was someone that I remember being really young, and God, I could almost cry talking about this. I remember being really young and like dancing. Oh my God. I remember putting my feet on top of his feet and dancing to Portuguese music. I'm Portuguese. And I remember that. I remember sitting on his lap, and I used to, I don't know, love fried eggs. So I have this really weird memory of me sitting on his lap and he was feeding me eggs. I remember another time where we were in Portugal and I was in the field, and I remember that I thought, this is so crazy. I don't even know why these are coming to mind right now. I remember thinking that a bee had flown into my ear, and I remember screaming and freaking out, and him running from a distance, running to my aid. I was probably 5, maybe 6 years old. The problem is that as I got older and I saw and understood the dynamics of the relationship between him and my mother, is when I really started to have a huge disconnect. And he was just not a good husband. And he was very, very abusive in all ways, verbally, mentally, emotionally, and then even physically. And so to this day, they are still together. And still to this day, I do not have a relationship with my dad. The extent of my obligation when I am around him is that I am polite. That's it. I'm polite in his presence, but there's just no connection. And my therapist said to me that I've always been trying to replace my dad. And so unconsciously was picking the same partner, except for the father of all three of my children. So I've been divorced twice, and the father of all three of my children was actually a good guy, a good dad, a good husband, and I divorced him. And then apparently, if you believe in psychology, the reason for that divorce was because I didn't have the chaos, the drama in my life that I had become so accustomed to. And to me, at first, I was like, it's all psychobabble, but it sort of does make sense now that I look back. And I wrote about this in my book because there's a part of me that wants to hate my dad, and then there's a part of me that thinks he doesn't know any better. He's like a product of his environment. He grew up in a home with an alcoholic, abusive father. And so that's sort of his frame of reference. And then I also think about the sacrifices that he made moving his family to Canada from Portugal, moving here with 3 young kids with, I think, $237, and leaving his country and his family behind. And he did that for the family. So then I think about that, and I think about how he had 3 girls and he paid for all their weddings, and he just helped with car payments or college, stuff like that. And it's such an emotional mind fuck to have a parent like that, because although he was extremely abusive to my mom, and to this day is still emotionally and mentally abusive to her, and that's a whole other story. Oh my God, I could go off on a whole tangent about that. Is my mom actually like such a weak person to put up with it, or is she actually like the pillar of strength to have put up with it for, God, she's going to be 80, and not have cracked, and just took it and took it and took it and took it, and never complained. I shouldn't say she never complained. She would often cry many, many, many times, but she just didn't crack, and she's still there. And I think, is that weakness or is that actually strength? How did I get on the topic of talking about my dad? Don't like talking about him. Anyway, so my point to this video is, you will repeat what you don't repair. Love yourself first. Self-respect, self-worth, self-love. Unless you learn how to love yourself first, you are not going to know how another person should love you. Does that make sense? When you love yourself and you know how to love yourself, you're going to want that love reciprocated from someone else. You want that same love from someone else. And so if you are talking down to yourself, if you're, telling yourself you're stupid, you're dumb, you're no good, you're not worthy, who's going to want you? I remember leaving my marriage after I got divorced, and hearing who the hell's going to want you? You've got 3 kids, you're washed up. And That's the story I was telling myself for a long time. And so when you're telling yourself those things, you also are going to allow that same disrespect, because you're disrespecting yourself, to come from someone else. And when you start loving yourself and praising yourself and putting yourself first and respecting yourself and telling yourself that you are worthy, you're not going to tolerate anything less from someone else. So how long should you wait? You should wait long enough that you are whole on your own and that you are good on your own, and that anyone that comes into your life is not going to supplement anything. They're just going to enhance the life that you already have. They're going to make you want to be better, do better, achieve higher, but yet still be yourself. So I can't give you the answer as to how long. Should you wait a year at least? Absolutely. I think that when you come out of an abusive relationship, give yourself at least a year, because we all know those people that come out of a relationship and they jump right into another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then another one. And they never take time for themselves to really work on themselves, discover who they are, what they want, what they love. And why do they keep repeating the same cycle? I think it's Albert Einstein that's said, is it Albert Einstein? Is it Albert Einstein? Is that his name? Anyway, yeah, I think it's him that said that the definition of insanity is that you keep repeating the same thing over and over again, but you want a different result. Well, that's not going to happen. I mean, that is insanity. Without change, nothing changes. So at least a year, and then sometimes longer. I can honestly say that for me, I was out of my second divorce, I think 4 years, and still felt triggered sometimes, and still felt like I'm not ready. And doing the work, taking the time to invest in yourself is really something that I can't even put a price on. It is something that it's a must. And you know what I have found is that after doing the work and creating that best version of yourself, and you become the person that you want to attract, it actually does work. Just become the person that you want to attract. You know, I want someone that is easy. And what I mean by that is, I don't want my next relationship to be hard, to be a battle, to be a struggle. Do I want perfection? No, absolutely not. Do I expect that there's going to be conflict? Yes, I would expect that there's going to be conflict, especially if I'm with someone that has their own sense of self and has their opinions and has their values and has their sometimes there might be a difference of opinion, and that is okay. But to be able to discuss that difference of opinion in a constructive manner where we actually respect each other's opinion and maybe agree to disagree, that's okay. I'm okay with that. It's not the difference of opinion that's the problem. It's how you resolve the conflict. I want to feel safe in my relationship. I want to feel like I can be my authentic self. I want to feel like I can be vulnerable. I want to feel like we can communicate effectively. That's what I want going forward. I don't want blow-ups. I don't want eruptions. I don't want rage. I don't want crassness. I don't want the the walking on eggshells. I just want to be able to say what I mean what I say, and have them do the same thing, and treat each other with mutual respect. But until I learn to respect myself, love myself first, I knew that I was going to tolerate it from a partner, and now I no longer will tolerate it from a partner. And so it becomes really hard sometimes to date and to find someone, because do you find that all of a sudden it's like you just notice those red flags instantly and you cut it off before it even starts? Yeah, I know it's hard. I find that I do that too. But that's okay, because we're not going to settle, and we are going to create a life that we deserve, and we deserve to be loved, to be cherished, to be respected, and to feel safe more than anything in a romantic relationship. Well, safe anywhere. We deserve to feel safe. And so there's my answer. Definitely a year if you're coming out of an abusive relationship, and maybe even longer. It depends on, it depends on, everybody's different. I know that for me, it was a good 4 years before I started to even feel normal again. And before I started to really, feel that I was worthy. Right? Okay, guys, that's it. I'll see you next time on Rebuilding a Kick-Ass Life with Mama Moynes. Doesn't even have to be Rebuilding a Kick-Ass Life after divorce. I know that's the title of my channel, but it's just rebuilding a kick-ass life after anything. After anything, because we all deserve it. Bye, guys. Have a great day.